Dreams of discipline. How long in my life have I spent dreaming about spanking? It's a shame someone didn't put me on an hourly rate years ago, as I might now be a wealthy man. Incredibly, I am, despite being middle-aged and happily married, daydreaming still. It must have been in my formative years when I first consciously became aware of these dreams. The rain was falling on the roof and I was lying with the lights switched off on my bed one evening, and I thought of the lovely Miss Wiseman. Her perfumed presence had been driving me wild all year. I wasn't the only one either, as she made a nice change from the hair-effaced harridans and child-hating curmudgeons that had overshadowed my early schooling. The entire class loved this warm-hearted woman, who made going to school joy and learning fun. Part of her charm was her attitude to discipline. On the surface she was very strict. Indeed, I have in another posting described what she would do to small boys if she caught them out of their places. We were taught away from the main buildings of the school in a freezing little wooden hut. If any pupil complained they were cold, she would fix them with her sternest gaze and say, "If you're cold, the best way to warm up is with a well-smacked bottom." It was one of her little jokes, and I would often feign coldness just to hear her say that. If any pupil, although it was always a boy, as all the girls in our class were absolute paragons of virtue, did step over the bounds, he would be promised a warm bottom if he did it again. At the end of each term, she gave every one of us a small present, but she promised a special end-of-term present for the naughtiest boy in the class. A box of assorted wax. Sometimes impromptu discussions would break out on who was the likely candidate. As one of the front runners, I was often mentioned, and the girls, in particular, seemed keen I should suffer, if that's the right word, as revenge doubtless for all the teasing I had enjoyed at their expense. Well, as she never did put me over her knee and soundly spank me, I was forced to daydream. One scenario was a spelling test in which she gave one whack with a slipper or springy little cane for each mistake. A variation was a piano lesson in which each wrong note earned a similar penalty. Who knows, I could be another Mozart by now instead of someone who can barely play chopsticks. These daydreams that stirred up such strange feelings were a source of great delight, and the variations were endless. I could be held over a desk or rock, or over a vaulting horse, although that one came a little later. It could be in private or in front of the class. I could even be held down by the 6 most virtuous girls, as in Hermann Hesse's Peter Kammersund, although I admit I hadn't read that. My underpants would provide some modesty, or I could wear nothing but a nice tight pair of gym shorts, and Miss Wiseman, a smile playing on her lips, chalks her thinnest cane in preparation for 6 crisp, unhurried, painful strokes. This inner life will be with me until they put me in a box. Miss Wiseman is now of course much younger than I, and she has some rivals. Some woman will by some look or gesture capture my imagination, and I will transport her to that inner world, and she will become the strict schoolteacher of my dreams.